Matt Cassel had quite the career in the National Football League, starting with the New England Patriots over Kansas City way. Spent a couple of years with the Minnesota Vikings. Then we're in Buffalo, Dallas, Tennessee, and we finished up with the Motor City Kitties a couple of years before the pandemic. And joining us now is the aforementioned slinger, Matt Cassel, at M_Cassel16 via the tweet machine, and Cassel as 1L. Matt, it's Paul Allen with Paul Charchi, and you're on the Friday Football Feast. How have you been, my brother?
Oh, brother, it's great to hear that wonderful voice of yours. I'm doing great. I'm residing here in the great state of Tennessee. It's a little hot outside, but the kids are starting sports. Son just had a little football scrimmage last night that we got to go to, 5th and 6th grade football. They got the dub, and it's kind of coming full circle for me. So I'm excited. Football season's in full swing. We're kicking up here and getting ready. So I know there's a lot of excitement in the air.
I wish, I had captured more than one picture of like when you and I would see each other on the sideline after you left Minnesota, because there was one unbelievably cold day, and I got that picture. I found it yesterday. But then I have a picture with you with Buffalo and with Dallas and with Tennessee and with Detroit. I mean, I could have like a Castle shrine in my basement with all these uniforms. I mean, you sustained and lasted and had a fantastic career in totality, but bouncing around at the end, did that get a little tough?
It did get a little tough. It was one of those situations. For the first 10 years of my NFL career, I was with 3 organizations, 4 in New England, 4 Kansas City, and then I was going into my 3rd year in Minnesota when I got traded to Buffalo. Then I got traded in the second week of the season to Dallas, which was a zoo in itself. My wife was 34 weeks pregnant. We won't get into that whole situation. That was a little bit more stressful than anything else. And then went to Tennessee for 2 years and ended up in Motor City. But yeah, for those last 4 years, it started to become the real grind, just because with the family and all the kids that we had and moving from one city to the next, because the family always traveled with me wherever we went. It became a little bit more taxing for sure as my career wore on. But again, at the end of the day, I was blessed to play in the NFL for 14 years, and it was an unbelievable run. And it's been fun since then, doing the commentating thing and analyst work through with NBC Sports Boston. Now I'm doing some college football on Saturdays with NBC for their Big Ten games. So it's been a lot of fun.
Hey, with the college football you mentioned, you just did. Now, did you do any the last couple of years?
So the last year was my first year with NBC working for the Big Ten. We do the big Saturday night coverage. Right. And so that was the first time I got approached at the Super Bowl a few years ago, asked if I'd be interested. And I hadn't been in the college game for a long period of time. And obviously I'm a Pac-10. Back when I played, it was Pac-10. I know it was Pac-12 before they dissolved.
Yep.
But going into the Big Ten, I thought it would be a great challenge. It's a different game altogether, just because of what the world that we're living in with NIL and transfer portal and the teams changing so dramatically, conference realignment. And so I kind of said, you know what, let's go do this, because there's nothing quite like college football, the atmosphere, the rivalries, the traditions, and all that stuff. And I said, let's give it a run. So it's been fun to do that. It's been fun to go to some of these stadiums that I have not been able to go to when I played and on the West Coast, and see some of these magnificent stadiums and their fan bases.
Well, no doubt. I mean, that USC-Rutgers rivalry.
I always love that one.
It's gonna be unbelievable.
It's very similar to cross-country USC Notre Dame. It's got that same appeal.
Oh, well, why I asked about the college football piece, Matt? I knew it was new. But did all these rookie quarterbacks, like 6 go in the first 10 or 12, 13 picks, and it supposedly is a deep quarterback draft as it goes to the NFL. We'll let them play the games and figure that out. But our guy J.J. McCarthy, did you run into him? And of any of the Drake May, just any of them, did you see them, meet them, and if so, what do you think?
So we covered J.J. McCarthy quite a few times last year, and I think he's an outstanding talent. I really do. He's a guy that has tremendous arm strength, as you've probably recognized out there watching practice. He's a guy that was in a pro-style offense, had to do a lot of stuff at the line of scrimmage, make checks, and I think a lot of people don't take that always into consideration when you're talking about quarterback play, is the command that you have to have at the line of scrimmage. And there's a lot of offenses out there that don't ask that quarterback to do much, but I think Michigan was one of those offensive units that you're making checks at the line of scrimmage. You're getting them into the right run play based on the look, whether it's safety rotation or front or whatever you have to do. So he's been coached really well. They obviously were in an offense that was a run-first mentality. They wanted to play bully ball because that's what they played to their strengths, with the offensive line and that running back. But when asked to make plays, J.J. McCarthy, time and time again on third down, was exceptional. His movement within the pocket, his escapability, his ability to throw on the run and also make the throws downfield and put them in the right position against man coverage, whether it's back shoulder or up over the top. I thought he's an outstanding talent, and I'm sure that you're starting to recognize that. And, of course, anytime you come in as a rookie and there's a learning curve, and there's a steep learning curve, because the NFL game is much different than going up against Michigan State every week, or, even in Ohio State. Every week is a grind, and it's a long season. So for him, it's about development. And then you look at what they did also bringing in Sam Darnold, which I love bringing in Sam Darnold because I think he's a guy that has not been put in a lot of favorable situations over his career. And when you look at this team and just the composition of it, with the wide receiver position with Justin Jefferson and Addison, you bring in Aaron Jones at the running back position, you've got top 10 offensive line. I think that both of these quarterbacks are going to be put in a position to be very successful. And obviously Kevin OConnell and his resume that he has with coaching quarterbacks and understanding that position will bode well for both these guys.
That's the voice of Matt Cassel, breaking down the Vikings roster. My man, well done. You're keeping up on your old team. I love it. You're making this transition to college football analyst. What does NBC do to help you prep for that as somebody who's new to this job?
Yeah, it's interesting because last year, when I got the job, it was a little bit later in the summer, and then the packets start to come in, and you've got books and books of literature about the makeup of every single team, some of their key players, and then again, the roster changeover from year to year in the college football game is so dramatic. And so it really starts because of the two transfer portals. You've got the first one that opens up right after season, but then you also have the spring transfer portal. So your team is not really set until you go into camp. So right now is kind of when you start to understand what this team and what they're going to look like on paper, at least. And then and then throughout the course of a week, we have production meetings. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of different discussions with our producers, with our research team. If there's certain things that you want to look at or you need a specific stat, they're always there to help. But in addition to that, for me, I obviously am always going to watch a ton of football and watch the games as they play out and watch specific players and see their strengths, weaknesses, and anything else that you can pick up, because I don't think that there's any substitute for actually watching it. And I'm not talking about the TV copy. I'm actually talking about the game film where you can sit there and kind of see the entirety of the field, see how defenses are attacking certain offenses and vice versa. And so there's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's fun work. You know what I mean? If you were to tell me after I get done playing that I get to still cover football, watch football on a consistent basis, watch a lot of these young kids as they start to develop throughout their career, it's been really cool for me to see that and actually go into this phase of my life.
I noticed by looking at your Twitter feed from a month and change ago, you and your family vacationed in Montana. What's cool about Montana?
It's God's country up there. We've had a place up there since 2014, and really the tie there. I know everybody's like, Montana. Why Montana? Well, my godmother and her husband have been up there for 35, 40 years or something like that, and we would go up there when I was younger and in high school, and so a place came up close to theirs, and we thought it would be a great place to go and a friendly retreat where we get away from all the electronics. You get out in the country, back up to the Bitterroot National Forest. You're out there hiking, fishing. I'll go up there and hunt with my brothers, and you do the ATV. So it's just a different type of experience, and it's always fun to get out there and enjoy a little bit of that beautiful country that they have up there in Montana.
Well, a couple of things here. Having a place in Montana sounds really, really cool. God bless the Kansas City Chiefs.
I always love that one.
And do you have... All right, 3-2. Yeah, we're still there. I mean, I can still say that to you, right? You can shoot back at me, right? We can still do that.
100%. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Would you happen to have a place near Phil Jackson and or Kevin Costner, and like maybe you guys find some orange zigzags and stare at the stars?
I would love to do that. I would love to go camp out with both of those guys. Are you kidding me? Just go wear cowboy hats, get on a horse, and maybe take a little run on the Dutton Ranch. What's funny about actually that situation with the Yellowstone, they film right up there where we have a place. And so I never looked at it as anything, our property up there as any rental property or anything like that. But when they were filming up there, they actually needed spots because there's just not a lot of real estate. So I was like, if you guys want to rent my house, that's great. So people from Yellowstone, producers and stuff like that, were renting my house while they're filming. I was like, this is great. I mean, we'll make a little money on the place, do all that stuff. So it's pretty wild because of all the places that they could film. They filmed right in the same area that we're at in Montana.
Oh, that's
my understanding is Montana real estate has gone through the roof.
Really?
That it's become in part because of Yellowstone, and also people are moving states all the time, and that Montana's become like the hot place to go. And if you've got land or real estate in Montana, you're probably doing pretty well right now.
Yeah, it's increased like a lot of different places. I mean, I've even been in here in Nashville since 2016, and during the pandemic and everything, real estate just went through the roof. And it kind of happened the same way in Montana. Even when you go up there, there's a lot more houses going up, where when I first got out there, it was very rural. Not this, but then you see these properties with 5-10 acre lots kind of popping up on different parts of the mountain and all that stuff. And I think Yellowstone was definitely the catalyst for a lot of these people moving there, want to live that Wild West dream.
Yeah, right.
And but once you get up there and you start to experience, like I said, it has so much to offer, and it's so beautiful. So yeah, it's been a great place for us to be able to take the kids and get away from everything.
Hey, Matt Cassel at M_Cassel with 1L 16 via Twitter, former Vikings quarterback, Patriots, Chiefs, and finished with Detroit and the whole thing. Nashville. And I don't even know if he still has this, but do you ever go to Steve Hutchinson's restaurant and perchance have the boiled peanuts?
Yeah.
You know what? I haven't been there, but I'm going to go there today now that you bring that up. I talked to Hutch I've seen Hutch a bunch, and he's such a funny and great dude, and obviously a Hall of Famer and a great player, and we all know him, but I haven't been down to his restaurant yet, and that's on me. Hutch, I'm sorry. I haven't been there. You haven't offered to pay for my meal or buy me a beer, but I'm still just going to come in there and support the place. So I apologize to Hutch right now on this radio show.
Okay, with Kevin OConnell, you're with him with the Pats, and he comes here from San Diego State. You're from USC. You guys are both young in your careers. Kevin OConnell, the head coach. What do you see? What do you like? Because the energy trip that was the 13-4, then the playoff loss to the Giants, and the comeback 33-zip against the Colts, a dramatic Giants game, a wonderful game against the Bills. I mean, everything was so exciting his first year. Well, last year he had to mow through 4 quarterbacks, and then one of them's a rookie, and the other can run but he can't pass, and then you get Mullins in there, and it looks like the KOC offense because Nick knows how to run it, and sadly there would be a turnover to lose, but just like Kevin's maturation through 2 years as a head coach, what do you think, Matt?
I think he's done a tremendous job. Obviously the first year he came in and he did. Like you said, they won a lot of games. You saw what he brought to the table offensively, how dynamic they were. And then you look at last year, and I think the most growth for a lot of young head coaches comes when adversity strikes. And how do you get your team to respond in those moments? And when you lose a guy like Kirk Cousins, who's obviously your franchise quarterback and the figurehead of your offense, and you've got to rotate through 4 guys, how does your team respond? Because obviously there's a lot of teams out there that we've seen circumstances like that it doesn't go as smoothly. And I'm not saying that a 7-10 record is something that they aspire to, but at the same time, they're sitting there at 6-6, I think, around the bye week, and then they lose 4 out of the last 5 games. But when you look at those games, I mean, the 2 games of the Lions, the 2 of the last 3 games of the year to the Lions, those losses were close games. They lost a close one. I think it was a 3-point game to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yep.
And so when you look at the overall body of work last year and what adversity they had to fight through and how Kevin OConnell was able to rally those guys around and at the same time be very competitive, that speaks volumes to the type of leader he is. That speaks volume to that coaching staff and also the buy-in that you had collectively in that locker room. And so going into year 3, I think that he probably learned a lot from the process that took place last year and the adaptability that you have to have in the NFL because injuries are always going to happen. But I think Minnesota Vikings and this organization are in good hands with Kevin OConnell and what he's going to be able to achieve in the very near future. Because I think this team, the way that it's set up and the makeup of this team is going to have the ability to win a lot of games this year.
Hey, Matt, are you surprised Bill Belichick is not coaching right now and that he did not yield a coaching job out of this whole cycle? We had like 7 or 8 head coaches hired and Belichick's out of work. Does that surprise you?
It does surprise me just because I played for Coach Belichick and I think he's the greatest coach to ever coach. At the same time, I know I believe that because of his age at 72 and also because of how he runs his franchise and his organization, that it's not for everybody, you know, and I think that some of those organizations that have GMs in place already, it's really Bill Belichick runs the show, and you kind of have to know that when you sign up. But I was very surprised that Coach Belichick wasn't picked up because when you watch his teams play, it's not like the game has passed him by, that he's out of sequence with the new trends or defense is, you know, it's old, it's stale, it's this, that, and the other. No. What they're doing defensively, and it really was more so the offensive side of the ball for him, but what they were doing was up to date and ready to rock and roll. So I would love to see him back on the sideline. And the other part of this too, I'm sure for him, because he's a historian of the game, he's a guy that has so much pride in the history of it. And when you look at how close he is to getting the all-time win record, I don't know how many wins he is, but he's pretty darn close. And I know that that's something that I'm sure he would try to go back and make sure that he secures that spot at number 1.
Matt, you know, I know we went a few minutes over with the time, so we're going to say goodbye. And I also know you're getting ready for that ballyhooed UCLA Purdue rivalry. So I want you to get into your game calling board, okay, my man? And let's stay in touch. All right, let's have fun during the season.
Absolutely. That would be a blast. See you guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
See you, bud. Matt Cassel, former quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, ever gregarious. Best way, ever affable, ever gregarious, and ever loquacious. And I'm super happy that he's doing some TV analytical work in the Big Ten. The NFL will be next for him. This is 9 to noon. Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin OConnell had a press conference yesterday where he went into great detail would be a stretch. Greater detail than I thought he would dive into would not be a stretch.
Tons of QB cuts.
Right. There was more about the game that he shared. Well, let's just say that it just kind of surprised me a couple of things. So we'll see if that's included in the cuts here.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the head coach yesterday, Kevin OConnell. He's playing most of the guys.
We are planning on playing the majority of our guys. There's still some guys either dealing with a day-to-day thing here or there that we'll evaluate as we go into it. And there may be a couple guys we hold out, but for the most part, we will play the majority of our guys.
Yeah, let me loop that together real quick. 2 guys that won't be playing. These are obvious names, but Justin Jefferson, Harrison Smith.
Justin more than likely will not play. There'll be, as far as what that ends up looking like, the guys that do not play, the majority of our roster will, and it could be a health thing, but there will be, really Justin and Harrison Smith is another guy who will not play. That are totally healthy and just part of the process of those guys kind of getting ready for their week 1 as well.
Justin never has played in a preseason game and never will play in a preseason game would be a prediction I would make now. But
wait, he didn't play as a rookie. I didn't remember that. Was he hurt his rookie year, or why didn't he play as a rookie?
Yeah, I don't. Well, O'Connell told me that the other day, and I didn't look it up, so I'm rolling with it. That JJ hasn't played in a preseason game. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say 98.2% the coach is right. Harrison, right at the Harry ain't playing in a preseason game. So this plays back to the opening segment. Is, okay, Kevin came out and said, we're going to play some of our guys. Well, Antonio Pierce, who may have been in contact with Kevin OConnell within the last week about how this whole thing's going to work, Pierce was quoted in The Athletic as saying, I'm playing my guys because I got to play my guys. I don't have any joints. I got this, it's a low-rated race at Las Vegas Downs, but nevertheless, it's my race.
Yeah.
And it's a battle between my quarterbacks. So it's each quarterback for them is going to get a quarter somehow, some way. Minshew, O'Connell, Minshew. Now Christian Darrisaw did not practice the other day. I don't know why, and egregiously, I didn't look to see if he practiced yesterday. So the point being is, if Darrisaw doesn't play, or say another front liner on the line does not play for whatever the reason, it's still Max Crosby, John Jenkins, who is just a physical machine, and Christian Wilkins, the former Dolphin, the highly coveted 3 technique in free agency. So that will play into, I believe, the way the game looks. It depends. Now, if Darrisaw or like Brandell and Ingram and Reisner, and you got all your components going in there, well, it's on. I mean, now you can put Sam on, assuming Darnold starts, you can put him on 5 and 7 step drops a couple of times.
Yeah. And
let him run, let him move if somebody gets beat, stuff like that. If it's 3/5 of the preferred Minnesota moving company, I would be shocked if it's not run, quick game, run, quick game, run. And also, I mean, I guess Aaron Jones is going to play. I mean, he didn't say he wasn't. I'm still not completely sure.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm not second guess guy, but just gut feeling wise, I mean, it's the guy who's lickety split fast, but a little slight of frame. Injuries have been a common thread of late.
Yep.
So I'm not completely sure Jones is going to play at this stage, but very interesting to hear Kevin lay that out.
Sorry, you go, Charge.
Thank you. You mentioned Sam Darnold. I think if there's going to be a preseason revelation about Sam Darnold to most Viking fans, he's got better wheels than people realize. I don't think people realize the guy's got some legit mobility to him, and I think people will be surprised at what he can do, flushed out of the pocket, rolling pocket, and it's going to open up some things that we never could have seen with Kirk. And I don't think most people know that that's sort of in the repertoire. I'm not calling him Lamar Jackson, obviously, but he's got some mobility to him that I don't think people realize.
It's interesting you say that, because top of the head, I believe through 56 starts, he has 13 rushing touchdowns, including 5 in 2021 with Carolina, and his first game against the Vikings in 2018 against that vaunted Zimmer defense.
And as a little sidecar, I didn't use it during Vikes Bites, Blake Brandell was talking about playing on the O-line for athletic QBs.
It's a huge part of the game is, we want to protect them as best as we can, but when they're able to extend the play, when there's leakage up front, it's huge for the team. Extending those drives and some of the biggest plays you get out of those kind of scramble drill, extending the play. So it's just huge for the team to have guys back there that are running around and making awesome plays.
Of my pants.
So, a texter, thank you to Kyle from Farmington. COVID clomp. There were no preseason games in 2020.
Oh, that was it. That's it.
And then of course his second year he was already that guy that maybe you don't play in preseason games.
Yeah, he wasn't I'm him. He was that guy.
Yeah. KOC clips. Here's he's talking about said order of playing QBs.
Sam Darnold will start the game, and then we will transition to J.J. McCarthy for what I'm very, very excited to see. A significant amount of work, and really see him hopefully apply a lot of the things that he's been doing really well, just as Sam has every day in practice, and it's been a really good start to the process for all those guys.
And more on Mullins.
I can't wait for the day that, for whatever the reason, whether the new schoolers look at social media and they think the obscure .coms actually are, have more magnitude or bigger than they really are. And it's well, why would they write this or say this or do this about McCarthy and he should start? Don't they? I pine for the day that you can have a conversation or hear a presser with anybody. But we'll just use Kevin for an example here, where it doesn't have to be like, I'm really excited to see J.J. McCarthy. I can't wait to watch Sam Darnold run, too. I mean, there are a lot of great things he does with his athleticism, but wow, has J.J. made great strides. You know, Sam's made great strides, too. He got here for OTAs, and now we got pads on, and where you don't have to yin and yang, where you don't have to worry about, am I?
Yeah.
Do I?
The scale constantly has to be balanced.
Will I?
Saying something nice about JJ inherently means that Sam Darnold's awful and shouldn't exist. Yeah.
Well, Jefferson did it in one of the Vikes Bites or whatever bits you played early in the week, but he didn't do it out of obligation. Okay, so there ain't no Jefferson directive on how to talk about these quarterbacks. He told the truth. He was like, I love JJ. Paraphrasing. Probably need to work on that touch a little bit. Sam's touch is really good. He's played a lot more games.
Yeah.
That's fact. That's all fact. And it's not, he said something good about Sam, so you got to say something good about JJ, or there's effusive praise with McCartney. I mean, all right, 3-2. Baby, I am amazed. There is effusive praise with McCarthy, so you got to slide something in nice about Sam.
Indeed. I heard this from KOC yesterday. Game flow. It's going to dictate some things.
What I like to do is look at it. Did we receive the opening kick? Did we not? You want to have some plays, especially for the full group, as you kind of transition the different waves of your team. But for me, it's going to be a feel thing. Hey, this group's got to go. Another one, or maybe, you know, we've seen enough, or, you know, those guys have established a little bit of a rhythm, whatever it is.
Kevin OConnell, I believe, wants the team to start markedly faster than it did in games last year. And then it would be like, okay, well, you get off to kind of a wonky start where it's like the Tampa Bay game. You got things that you think are going to be good. They probably were there, and they probably didn't go the right way. Oh, and then you fumble.
Yeah, punt, turnover. Yeah,
right. And it was the inordinate amount of fumbles that took place last year. It's not that it was voluminous. It was the time of the game that like it was happening.
Always early.
So it's
JJ out of the back of the end zone, Alexander Madison at the goal line.
Yes.
I mean, game-changing.
Yes. So the fast start bit, which I don't know you'll be able to get accomplished in the preseason, but maybe you can. The fast start, don't give it away. Let's play. Now it's like even level terms, you know?
KOC cut calling certain plays during the game tomorrow.
It's one of those things where the things you're working on in practice that maybe guys have, you know, really took a liking to as part of the offense and the runner pass game might not find its way on the call sheet. And I think that's one of the cool things about, you know, the preseason is my hope. You never know until Saturday afternoon, but my hope is maybe we'll get to see some looks that the quarterbacks can play with a quieted mind and not feel like Flo's throwing the kitchen sink at them every single day.
Well, part of that goes into, Charch, what we were talking about earlier, starters playing, and I'm just fascinated. I feel like this has to happen, and I've said it to UPA, and I'm repeating myself, but a conversation between KOC and Antonio Pierce, like you're both trying to get certain things out of this.
Yeah.
There has to be that handshake level of, you know, can you give us something weird
that doesn't
at some
happen.
point? And it just doesn't.
Well, no, but that's why you have joint practices, because that's exactly how joint practices go.
Okay.
I mean, when the Broncos were here, you know, in the Zimmer time, and Vic Fangio was the coordinator, Zimmer had Fangio design particular things he knew drove Kirk crazy. All right, so the way I recall it is it was orchestrated, it was working. Von Miller and Bradley Chubb and all those cats were yelling at Kirk. Well, Kirk got frustrated. Now, Kirk really got frustrated when the players were running back to the huddle too slow. Okay, so he kind of half-heartedly yelled, and like Von Miller or somebody was like, "Bruh, you're the leader. You're the boss. Let them know what they're doing." So that's like how it went.
Von Miller was training Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
Wow.
So now that they run a play, happens again. Kirk lost his mind. I mean, I've never heard him speak like that in all the years I knew him at his own team.
Did he use a cuss word?
Get back, blah, blah, blah. Get back in here. Come on. He's screaming in the huddle and goes out next play. I can't remember who caught it. 20 over the middle. Von Miller and Chubb. Yeah, 8. Yeah, 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, 8.
All right.
Go ahead, 8. That's one of the most vivid, fondest joint practice memories I've had since I saw Hunter Goodwin try to karate kick Tony Richardson in his sternum in Mankato in like 2005. So that happens in joints with the joints. Now in the games coaches will in essence talk about who's going to play and kind of how long. So it's O'Connell just let Pierce know I'm playing my ones. So I'm under the belief that Pierce already has let Kevin know I don't have any joints. I got this QB battle. I have no Devontae. And we're trying to raise a physical bunch here, and Max wants to play. If Max wants to play, Max is going to play. So if Max is going to play, I got to play guys around him.
Yeah.
That's how that goes.
What do you miss most about Mankato? Because at this time last year we were in Mankato, or not last year, years ago.
2017 was the last time we went down
on
there.
The perch. Yeah. Right. What do you
perch
miss?
They built was the bomb. Because
it was great.
It was awesome.
When Abbott Dubé and I started doing it, we were across the street next to the big bike rack, which walked into the to the training center and stuff like that.
That was kind of a bummer.
So it was until
couldn't see the fields,
right? Until 2005 or whatever, when there was a defensive end from Buffalo they picked up via free agency named Gabe Northern, and they hit his bike. Okay, because we were right next to the bike rack. They hit Gabe Northern's bike.
Who's the they? Who hit his bike? I
don't know.
Okay.
But the problem is,
not you.
Gabe Northern didn't care. He looked for it, he got mad, started picking up bikes and throwing them into the street.
I always love that.
And then finally, now you see a couple of people come out from around hey, here's your bike, here's your bike. Or when Dante would roll by on a bike that was 5 sizes too small for him, with a banana seat and the big bar behind and the tassels coming off the handlebars, and he'd ring the bell, ding, and look at us, ding, ding, ding. Hey, guys, if you need somebody later, let me know. Ding, ding, ding. And would just roll away.
I love it.
I mean, that was like a high school reunion for me every year we'd go down there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Home to Mankato. I do miss making that drive. I do.
I miss stopping at the yellow candy store, whatever, Norwood, and getting the Lion Bar, because the Lion Bar is hard to find anywhere else.
Remember when I went there like 2.5 months ago and I took a picture of the Lion Bar?
Yes.
And I bought you 3?
I did not get it. I never got any of the 3.
I ate all 3 in the drive back.
I don't blame you. The Lion Bar's awesome.
Lion Bar's bomb.
Here's Kevin OConnell talking about learning from the preseason.
Preseason football is really, really good because you see guys overcome scheme, and a lot of times where, hey, that leverage wasn't good. There was an extra defender here, maybe an extra hat in the run game. Guys made a play. And when guys can overcome that bodes really well for their ability once we give them a full repertoire of a weekly game plan to hopefully have the same, if not more, impact.
Yeah, and speaking for Bursich and I think Lieber, we really enjoy calling preseason games, the TV and radio aspect of it, but it's the only run I or we get calling football games on TV, and you could do it a different way, so therefore there's some learning to it. But tomorrow with the third quarter, us 3 are going to have Justin Jefferson mic'd up on the sideline for the whole quarter.
Cool.
It's unbelievable. Well, and we're going to bring Bursich up to the booth from Lieber from the sideline. So we don't have to deal with, like the clop of people jumping on each other. But it's what Kevin OConnell just said about something about the scheme, overcoming the scheme and like learning, hey, here it is. You got an option route. Mm-hmm. Scheme shows you should do this, but you did that. You got yourself open. We got a first down. Well done. Like if you're watching or when you're watching, just top of the head, what do you think would be some cool things we can talk to Justin about? Because, I've written, I got like 6 things down, but there are 3 people who will be talking.
Yeah.
But, of course, we are going to talk about what you think of receiver, and not just, your part, but just overall with Debo and Amon-Ra St. Brown. What do you think of the Netflix series receiver? But one thing that's really fascinating to me is the game is going to be right in front of him. So therefore, when we can get a camera shot of the play right in front of him, there he is. And then I'm like, Justin, so when you see the corner 5 yards off and the safety's all the way over there, we understand this is vanilla defense, but from a wide receiver standpoint, where does the mind go with what you're seeing right now? I mean, I think there's gold in them our hills if I or we can hit on that thing nicely. You got any suggestions?
He's been practicing against Shaq Griffin, the cornerbacks. I still view cornerback as the biggest question mark on really positional question mark on the entire team. So I'd love to know what he's learning about the cornerbacks that the Vikings are going to be putting out as he runs against them every day in practice.
Right. Yeah, I like that too. Anything else?
Let's ask JJ if he's going to buy new grill. Is he Is he going to buy a new house? What have you done with all of your big bonus? Big bonus.
After I ask him with that contract, can I get some money?
Yeah, there you go.
We're going to move on to with Justin. I just wish there was a way I could, with his deal, he was humble. He was quiet. He never came out and said anything.
No, he handled his business, even though the negotiation took 2 years.
Yeah.
Handled his business appropriately.
Right. So did the Vikings. He's a superstar of a humble variety when it comes to stuff like that. Well, CeeDee Lamb blew up today. Receivers just have blown up left and right. Yeah. Ayuk, look at the Ayuk deal. Somehow getting into that, the importance of humility. But he brought the gritty into the National Football League.
He did.
Now, he didn't make up the gritty. It's a New Orleans dance, but he brought it into the NFL. Do you think people, to a certain extent, have ripped off the gritty too much in that everybody does it? And when I saw our guy Mike Gesicki from the Miami Dolphins do it and completely butcher it, well, that's just too much. So go down that road, something like that.
That's fun.
You think that'd be good?
That's fun. I think you should do that.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. I think he's got to love that kids are scoring touchdowns in Pee Wee and doing the gritty.
Well, he's going to be answering a question, then there's going to be a play, and it's going to be Jaron Hall or McCarthy deep shot to Thayer Thomas. And right as he's answering, he's going to go, "Come on, 8-9! Come on, 8-9!" Oh, so it's going to be like that too. It's going to be, and Kevin OConnell will join us for an entire quarter.
Oh, no kidding!
The third preseason game against the Eagles.
What do you mean? How can he join you for a whole quarter?
Wes Phillips going to call the offense.
Yeah, he'll have the 53 figured out by then.
Yep. Yeah. He you put it in. I didn't know this till you put it in your notes. The NFL, is it mandating or directing coaches to join preseason broadcasts from the sidelines?
No, but what I put in the notes, and you're going to see it play out this regular season,
this is great.
Is that coaches are now required to do in-game interviews. It'll be short interviews, in-game sidelines.
No, not ours.
Maybe not with us.
Week 3, Philadelphia.
You're going to get the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings for an entire quarter in the booth.
Kevin, the origin of the shallow cross. It goes back to 1941 and the pedigree of Bear Bryant. Can you please take us through it? All right, we'll be right back. Yeah, well, the thing is, Jefferson's going to, we're going to go, Vikings are leading 17-16 on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings radio network. Hey, we're back at U.S. Bank Stadium. Vikings lead whatever, and Justin's going to still be with us, during breaks and everything.
I thought you were saying Kevin OConnell was going to be with us.
Yeah, in Philly.
Well, he is in Philly.
He's going to be in the studio.
Get the public portion of Guillotine League squared away, okay? And the algorithms and the glitches, whatever you're facing right now. Break time, deep breath. Jefferson all third quarter tomorrow.
Yeah.
On NFL Network, Fox 9 and KFAN.
Great.
Week 3 preseason. I'm pretty sure, not to step on Vikings public relations touchdown calls, Kevin OConnell will be doing the same thing for a full quarter. Mic'd up.
I heard in the studio with you, and I'm like,
right.
What?
You might be right.
What?
Hey, what's up with that public league right there? Go and get that thing squared away. Once again, Guillotine Leagues and GuillotineLeagues.com are in the air. They popped yesterday, and there's a new app for Paul Charchian's venture, Guillotine League or Leagues. Best place to find it via the App Store. It's very easy. All of you probably have it.
And if you've got Android, there's a link on our homepage to the Android. We're not in the Android store, sadly. You got to install it directly from us.
We'll chat with you next tomorrow, 1 o'clock for pregame from U.S. Bank Stadium. Then, boom, first preseason game, Raiders and Vikings. Thanks for listening. For Paul Charchian, I'm Paul Allen. Here comes Nordo with that patented wrap on the shop.
Thanks to Casey's for sponsoring the 9 to Noon Show wraps. Casey's, the pizza, the food and fuel rewards. Love you, Casey's. Stop into one today. 9 to Noon and the Friday Feast. The wheels of high hope getting properly greased. JJ at the bank tomorrow afternoon throws looking like a laser-guided harpoon. As a listener, it is tough to absorb it. Hearing about Charch's pants flying into orbit. Anticipation brimming. He's easy to excite. He's roaming the iHeart Hall 6 to midnight. Never any arguments, only discussion. Another Caucasian Gary. Yes, a white Russian. It's tough on the gut, though, all that cream and Kahlua. Man, I gotta spit it out. A different sort of Haktua. And if you're looking for Friday libation, go to Brooklyn Park and heavy rotation. $1 from every pint goes to Second Harvest Heartland. Check out the free meat raffle and a food stand.
Got too many men out there.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.